and now they're poised to potentially repeat, and it's all about, oh, they haven't played anybody. But here's my thing for all the people that say they haven't played anybody. Where's the fan base out here? Have you seen any "We won Ohio State on game day"? Where are those signs at?
No, I've seen no.
I haven't been on a single beat type of podcast for another team where they're like, I think Ohio State's fraud. I want to line it up with them. Where are all those people, Chris? I don't see anyone saying I want to play Ohio State.
I will not beef with Indiana fans, but today we got to talk about gaslighting an entire fan base. I feel like I got to add this in here just to make sure I properly address it, because I keep getting people replying to me on Twitter. So basically, I tweeted that, like, I love Mendoza, but come on, Julian Saint or Jeremiah Smith don't play poorly enough for long enough, or really at all, to manufacture a Heisman moment. Both Mendoza's Heisman moments came after late interceptions he threw to put games in jeopardy, right? So I said that. Obviously, a lot of people are saying that, like, Mendoza had a Heisman moment. Someone replied to me, now do the Illinois game. And my big question to any Indiana fan that gets here and wants to kind of engage in that, which I'm all here for, is what would you have said if after Julian Saint's 2-touchdown performance against Illinois, if everybody was saying, give him the Heisman right now and Heisman moment? I won't argue with anybody until they can answer that question or see kind of the problem that question presents, or see the Ohio State side of it. Because it's like, okay, like, I think Mendoza's a good quarterback, but you can't have a Heisman moment against Penn State, in my opinion, the same way Julian Saint couldn't have a Heisman moment against Illinois when Fernando Mendoza played better against Illinois than Julian Saint did. So that is my overall, I guess, issue with the entire argument that we're seeing on social media right now. But do want to get back to the actual episode that I recorded. I'm Big Ten Chris, so I will not be with Indiana fans, but the Indiana fan versus Ohio State fan, like, discourse on the timeline is kind of the final form, I believe, of, like, an Ohio State fatigue thing. And it's really wild because I don't think Indiana fans are actually the bad guy, but they're becoming much harder to ignore than previously. And I don't know if it's because, no, I think a lot of people think that it's because they're, like, inheriting the personality of Cincinnati, who we all know is, like, super arrogant. But I think it's, like, bigger than that. I think it is honestly, like, kind of the almost final form, the almost perfect sell version of, like, Ohio State fatigue, I guess. And, like, meanwhile, like, Ohio State has a chance to, like, do something really cool and, like, win the Triple Crown. And obviously, like, yesterday was a day with the whole, like, Gus Johnson, like, you know, Heisman moment thing. And I'm gonna get Ron in a little bit because Ron and I kind of talked about it just because we thought it was hilarious. But when I like get excited about Indiana, it's because, like, I want Indiana fans to absolutely feel like they belong at the big dog table. I think that that's really important. I think that, like, Indiana fans, like, if they want their brand to grow, they have to fight for their brand against SEC people. I guess along the way I didn't realize that they would, like, turn and kind of, like, bite us on the back end. But again, it has more to do with, like, just, like, general like, Ohio State fatigue. Because here, this tweet, ridiculous. This is Hayes Fawcett. Hayes Fawcett, obviously from On3, give him the Heisman. This was after the great drive, the drive to win the game that honestly he kind of put them in a bad spot for. And fairly enough, when you say give him the Heisman and kind of anoint this as the Heisman moment, people start, you know, referencing, okay, like, well, what about Julian Saint versus the same Penn State team, 20 for 23, 316. I mean, only 3 incompletions, 4 touchdowns. Why was there no talk of give him the Heisman? And this is where, like, guys like Hayes Fawcett, I think, are pretty disingenuous because, I mean, if you look, Ohio State played Penn State 7 days ago. This was 20 hours ago. So we'll go back 8 days to see if we can find a single, like, Julian Saint tweet of the same thing. And I know that, like, Ohio State fans, myself included, are, like, really sensitive to kind of, like, some of the shunning they get from the national media or, like, kind of the hatred they get. But I guess, like, this is kind of what comes with, like, being the most hated and being it's like being a Yankee fan almost. Like, people just only want to see you fail. They don't want to see you get there, and they never want to give you credit. So here we go. We're going back to October 21. And they're, again, after the Julian Sand ridiculous game against Penn State, nothing. No tweets at all. No Heisman moments. And so I think stuff like that is kind of like what has like Ohio State fans honestly feeling frustrated, which I think they should absolutely feel frustrated. I mean, myself included, like if you go back through and look, it just feels like everybody is okay with another player, any player not named Julian Sand or Jeremiah Smith being kind of anointed the Heisman favorite. And you don't just see it with the Heisman, you see it with other stuff. And I think like Ohio State fans, here's the sensitivity. Ohio State fans, myself included, Ohio State has had a string of ridiculous quarterbacks. Maybe I'll start with this. Ohio State has had a string of ridiculous quarterbacks and quarterbacks that have done ridiculous things on a football field in terms of numbers, production, winning, like all of that. And the last time a quarterback won the Heisman was 2006 Troy Smith. Like, that's absurd. That's like there's going to be a lot of college football players this year and next year that like weren't alive for that, which should be like, that's wild. And then it's like Indiana gets one quarterback who's a good quarterback, but not good enough to win the Heisman Trophy, in my opinion. And he's being paraded around like he's better than Julian Sand, who a lot of people feel like is the Heisman favorite, and that his Heisman moments matter more, even though like both of his Heisman moments were kind of like self-inflicted a little bit. Now, at the end of the day, like the individual trophies don't really matter, but it's like the Heisman conversation is really what how do I say this? The Heisman Trophy ceremony is just like another version of it happening. And I want to pull this because this keeps happening. This is Blaine Crane from Daily Wire. Shout out Branford for grabbing these tweets. LSU looked like the best team in the country last night. Move myself. This is 8/31/2025. Right? This tweet. Miami is the best team in the country right now. Yeah. This was last night. Texas A&M might be the best team in the country. Okay. So we've got 3 cases of like someone on a different show like doing the thing where they like purposely ignore how dominant Ohio State is. And I think that's the most frustrating thing with Ohio State fans. It's not that they feel like they deserve to win everything, not that they just, they feel slighted it's not that they feel like Ohio State fans in Ohio State right now, I think have earned the right to be talked about how those Clemson teams are talked about, how those Georgia teams are talked about, and how those Bama teams are talked about. And they're not talked about like that. And it's like a weird frustration in terms of like, why can't I get the respect I deserve? And now really, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because like the respect that they want to deserve is really just not there from the media. But like the College Football Playoff Committee is going to have them as the number 1 team in the country again. So it's funny because it's like when you want the respect you deserve, the easy pushback is, wow, the number 1 team in the country is crying because not everything's going their way. And it's not that not everything's going their way. It's that everybody is ignoring the run of absolute dominance they're on. And Ron and I thought it was hilarious. And obviously like Ron on the timeline is one of the very best at like getting after guys and kind of like just dominating in a sense to honestly keep it a stack. But I want to give Ron flowers because he had a couple of really electric tweets. One of the things that I think keeps happening is that the teardown for Julian Sand is unfair teardown compared to like past Heisman Trophy winners like this. This was kind of a common theme, and Ron pointed it out. Julian Sand can't win the Heisman because his receivers are too good, but also not better than Joe Burrow's receivers he won the Heisman with. A dumbass somewhere. Dave Biddle, our guy. Or Jaden Daniels with his wide receiver. For some reason, I've only ever heard this argument for one other quarterback. I'm noticing a pattern here. C.J. Stroud, who maybe should have won the Heisman, but some of that, I think, was his own doing. And then another one. This is great. Fernando Mendoza, Heisman hero or arsonist firefighter? Both of Fernando Mendoza's Heisman moments, quote unquote, come after really bad interceptions in the fourth quarter that put their games in danger. This one. Julian Sand went and put his nuts on Jim Knowles' forehead, but Mendoza had a Heisman moment because he let it come back against a 3-5 team with an interim coach. Factual. And some of these I do just want to get to Ron's segment about. But no, like all in all, like this is where I think like Ohio State fans like have a lot of credence, myself included, in like feeling like they are the most hated team. And I'm all for a Heisman debate, and I'm all for like debating who should win the Heisman at the end of the year. But what I'm not for debating is like give someone the Heisman right now, I guess, is kind of the frustrating part. But yeah.
Actual room light was on.
No, I got you. Thanks for coming on with me, dog. I think you might be the first guest on this whatever separate fucking show. Okay, I just want to open up with this. We didn't write anything. Yesterday was crazy. Obviously, like Ohio State played Purdue yesterday. It was fucking boring as shit, but they got it done. It was honestly just a funny game to watch. It's cool like having the games on the schedule that I know that are just easy peasy lemon squeezy. But dude, like the wildest part about yesterday was fucking Indiana fans trying to beef with us. And I don't know where you're. Oh, I know where you're at, but obviously we're gonna talk about it. I have probably been the biggest Indiana ally for going on 2 years now. Like a huge Mendoza fan, but for the first time, I was like, man, what the fuck are Indiana fans on? Because even like when that video came out a couple weeks ago about like the guys, can you guys beat Ohio State? It was like a lot of like fake we can beat Ohio State. But there's like all this fucking vitriol right now from Indiana fans towards Ohio State for just pointing out that like you can't have a Heisman performance against a shitty team. You can't have a Heisman moment against a bad team.
Kris, I got to rewind. Like this whole Indiana, like you said, we've been supporters of Indiana. Like Mike Shanahan went to high school the next town over from me, their offensive coordinator.
We love Mike.
My family had season tickets at Pitt when he was a player at Pitt. Like Kurt Signetti coached in the PSAC when I was attending a PSAC school in college. Like our connections to Indiana are endless. Our support for Indiana has been endless. And now they just want to pop up and pop it. And it's like, all right, you guys are historically the worst football program ever. No one has lost more than Indiana. Indiana has never beaten Ohio State in my entire life. I'm not a spring chicken. I've been around the block for a while.
I was gonna say there's no spring chicken uses the word spring chicken.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be an ass and like bring up basketball. Like I'm not even an Ohio State basketball fan, but if you're gonna come pop it to Ohio State, they've been to 2 more Final Fours more recently than Indiana, a basketball school. Stay out of our mentions, popping it with this. Like, and you know what set the tone for me being extremely frustrated with Indiana fans yesterday?
What got it going?
My boy Luke. One of my good friends.
Peel back the curtain entirely, dog, because this is like
So we're getting ready for, obviously the
Ohio
Indiana
State
game.
Report. Yeah.
We're getting ready for the Ohio State Bleacher Report post game. The Indiana game's going on. I have to watch the Ohio State game because we have to talk about it after.
Like we're working. So for those who don't know,
working on Saturdays. Like I tell people all the time, my Saturday
on Saturdays, Ron and I talk in the morning, and then we kind of vanish, and I formulate how to like do a show roadmap, and Ron is watching the game while taking notes and making graphics. So it's like really hard for us to watch other football then. And so really like we watch Ohio State, we record, and then we spend the back half of the day, which is why I don't mind the new kickoff games. We spend the back half of the day trying to regroup and study up for the next set of shows we have to do. So it's like I had to rewatch Indiana Penn State after the fact because like during like we just can't watch it.
So the game's going on. I have Ohio State on my TV. I have the game cast running on my phone for the Indiana Penn State game.
Mhm.
It's 3rd and 5. I get the notification that there's about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, and Katron Allen had just had a 5-yard run for a
Touchdown
first down.
or first down. Okay, first down. You're right.
I get a call. I get a text from Q, my co-host on the Buckeye Roast, that says, "I told you Penn State was going to do it." I'm like, what? The game's not. I was like, how far is my game cast gone? I'm like, refresh. The game's not over. I'm like, there's still 2 minutes left. Like, they got to get another first down before this ends. Like, Indiana could still get the ball back. And Jim Knowles is the defensive coordinator. Then my phone rings. So I'm like, all right, I'm watching the game. I'm trying to get ready for Bleacher Report. I still hadn't set up the stream yet. I hadn't loaded any of the graphics. And now people are calling me before, like, I've even started post game. And Luke, I pick up the phone and Luke was like, bro, did you see it? Penn State just beat Indiana. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'm on life delay right now. And everyone already saw the ending of the game because everyone's confidently telling me Penn State won. And I'm looking at my phone and the game's not over. I hang up the phone. I said, don't call me with this shit. You're about to jinx it. And I hang up. They jinxed it. And it's so irrational that I'm mad and I blame them for Penn State blowing this, but it's absolutely Q and Luke's fault. And that started off my day of being frustrated with Indiana because they should have lost, but these idiots jinxed it for me. And
that's so funny. And I'm just going to interject real quick, Ron, because like I called you excited. As fuck. I didn't realize that you were rooting for Penn State, I guess, beforehand, or else I wouldn't have called because I didn't want to piss you off like during our thing. But I'm like, yo, they fucking did it. They saved the day because like Big Ten Kris like wanted it to be a close game, but wanted Indiana to squeak one through so I could have like an episode of this where I point out the hypocrisy between the SEC and the Big Ten in terms of coverage. So like I was excited, and then you're like, I'm fucking pissed. And I'm like, oh, let me skedaddle.
I had to hold the phone away from my ear because I didn't want to get water damage from all the steam coming out of them.
Indiana doesn't pull it off. But I will say one more thing, and then I'll let you continue. The moment that I think like injected itself into Twitter was on the touchdown throw. It was a high throw. Mendoza was under pressure. Not a great throw. The Gus Johnson call, the 3-level octave voice crack, and the words, "Give him the Heisman right now." That, I think, started off like a shitstorm.
So I was already fuming from the phone call. Then I see the touchdown. And then he adds, "Give that man the Heisman right now." Kris, I wanted to stand up and throw my phone through the TV. I was so furious because then that set off, like I was already in a bad mood because I was like, just let me watch the game. Why would you call me and say that before the game was over?
Yeah.
Now you have Gus Johnson stealing the Heisman from Ohio State. And look, here's my thing. That wasn't a Heisman moment. He doesn't believe that Fernando Mendoza is better than Ohio State. That is just it. Like, that is the rivalry interjecting itself in the most ridiculous way ever.
Mm-hmm. That's the crossover. That's the crossover into let the rivalry impact how I do my job. And I make fun of people for that. Like, I make fun of Desmond Howard for that. Now, Gus is more respected than Desmond, but like that was the crossover moment for me for Gus.
Yeah, I think that was like one of the first times that I felt like, what are we doing here? Like, can we just play the game the third Sat? Like, okay, so now the fact that like this whole Michigan media campaign feels like it just bled into every bit of programming of like, oh, it's so fun to troll Ohio State fans. And it's like, I just watched every team be applauded for being a champion and getting over the hump. And it's just like everybody just like cannot be bothered with this Ohio State team. Like last year, you had to hear about the $20 million, not the fact that they beat a Texas team that spent more on their roster. No one got tired of Nick Saban and Alabama winning. No one got tired of the Kirby repeat or glazing that defense. Here's the thing that I feel like the media is stuck in right now. No one knew these 8 new starters that came in on the defense that all Buckeye fans had been telling people for, everybody's like, oh, yeah, you guys are losing Cody Simon. I'm like, wait till you see Arvell Reese. Wait till Jermaine Matthews gets a chance to go out there. Like, we have the guys that are ready to step up. And no one wanted to hear that. And most of the national media is too lazy to learn about the team. They had convinced themselves that teams like LSU and DJ Lagway was their Heisman. And now everybody is so focused on being right after being wrong so many times that they refuse to accept the obvious that was staring them in the face, that Ryan Day has now elevated this program to one of the top 2 programs, if not the best program in the country. And everybody just rather hate Ohio State because they don't like our fans. They don't like the program. They don't like our coaches. And it's just like, it feels like a they hate us because they ain't us type of moment yesterday. Right. And it was frustrated seeing the all-time losingest program in college football history pop at about a Heisman against a 3-5 Penn State team with an interim coach and a backup quarterback. He had a Heisman moment against a backup quarterback and a 3-5 team with an interim coach. What are we doing, Kris? It just seems like people are bending themselves into a pretzel to not give Ohio State credit.
Do you want to guess who had more passing yards in that game?
I believe Ethan Grunkemeyer had 2 more passing yards than Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, now Fernando Mendoza did the rushing yards. I just thought it was funny that like the Heisman moment you got probably out there. But yeah, you're right. Here's the thing. People, this is what I think we're witnessing it in real time. Like, people want to be right about Ohio State and about Ryan Day not being a potential dynasty instead of trying to get it right. And like, I care about getting it right. And that's why, like, I always say, like, oh, like I'm never wrong. I'm early. Everyone has a chance to like be right and early-ish with Ohio State right now, and it's so clear and in front of them that it's almost comedic. Now, I last night was like really annoyed with Indiana fans, but then like I wasn't, and you know why? You know, I had like the epiphany. This is the equivalent to someone getting gassed up by everybody else and feeling like, all right, bet I belong at the table. Because I think that Indiana fans were happy about being the number 2 team in the country. I think Indiana fans would have been happy with Mendoza just making it to New York. But all these other people are gassing Indiana up, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second. Oh, yeah. Like, I'm the big dog. It's like, all right, dude, you're a cool story. You're a cool story. You're fun. Cignetti's awesome. Mendoza's fantastic. He's like baby Jared Goff. But they went from like happy to be here to now we're the team, we're the fan base. And it's just hilarious because like I blame all the LSU fans that hate Ohio State that want to gas up Mendoza. Like I blame, Clemson fans that want to gas up Mendoza. I blame Michigan fans that want to gas up Mendoza. Everybody's putting a battery pack in this fan base's back, and we're watching it kind of like turn into something ugly now. Because Indiana used to be like my cool little homie. Now they think they're the big dog.
Indiana is Nick Cannon and Love Don't Cost a Thing. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, dude.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you paid this girl to stand next to you, and now you think you're popping.
Yeah.
And you're not. Like, you're not the man, bro. You are a dweeb. Like, you are here by proxy. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I went from being more excited of, like, am I crazy? I said, get me through the 3rd Saturday in November so we can go handle that team up north and get me to this Big Ten championship because I want to humble them. Like, and here's the thing. Everybody's like, well, how could you just anoint Ohio State? I'm like, I don't know. Here, maybe because people have used historical context for every other team. I hear Josh Pate say on a regular basis, I'm going to be wrong trusting Kirby Smart and picking Georgia before I pick another team to beat them. But everybody's out here ready to crown a team that historically has never won anything, and with the same coaches and a lot of the same players played last year, and Ryan Day put Cignetti over his knee and spanked his ass, had him looking down during the press conference while Will Howard was on the sidelines doing Fortnite emotes.
Yeah.
How did we get here that like, oh, yeah, why don't you respect Indiana? I don't know. Probably because the only team that it's been a longer drought since they've beat Ohio State is Notre Dame, another team that I can never convince myself is going to beat Ohio State. Why? Because it hasn't happened since Slippery Rock won the national championship in 1936.
I'm not beef with Indiana fans. Indiana fans, I am back to. I was mad at you for a little sec, but like I like what I want Indiana fans to like puff their chest out, just not to us. Like, you're our little homie. Go fight them for me, right? I'm just not used to them like biting us now. So it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, you're right. You're right. And it's all about the Heisman, right? Does Julian Sand ever play poor enough for 3 quarters to have a Heisman moment?
No. But what's a Heisman moment? Since when did a Heisman moment become like loser activity where you got to come from behind and win? I thought Heisman moments were dominance, where Reggie Bush is putting the ball behind his back on the sidelines as he's trolling for his 4th touchdown of the game. Like, why did I don't know when did it's this whole like they want this to be the narrative. It's not sexy enough. Ohio State goes out, gets the best quarterback, and goes out and is dominant just like they should be. Because it's so crazy that like it went from Ohio State underachieves with the most to it's boring because they got the most and they're achieving. What was that not? Ohio State was underachieve you. They achieved the least with the most, and now they have the most and they're winning the most. But that's boring. There's no winning.
It's Steph Curry, it's Drake, it's LeBron. Like once everyone was rooting for you on the way up, you get there. It's like
but that's the thing that's confusing me. No one was rooting for Ohio State on the way up.
You're right. There was.
They were stomping. They were stomping on their grave and saying you hadn't won a national championship in over a decade, and now they're poised to potentially repeat. And it's all about they haven't played anybody. But here's my thing for all the people that say they haven't played anybody. Where's the fan base out here? Have you seen any "We won Ohio State on game day"? Where are those signs at?
No, I've seen.
I haven't been on a single beat type of podcast for another team where they're like, I think Ohio State's fraud. I want to line it up with them. Where are all those people, Chris? I don't see anyone saying I want to play Ohio State. They're so fraudulent.
Ron, it's a bunch of fake demons. That's what it is. A bunch of because you know what I've seen on the timeline? Cancel the Ohio State game next year immediately. That's what I've seen on the timeline. I don't know. A whole bunch of fake demons, man. All right. Last thing before I get you out of here. Who is the Ron James Heisman ballot today?
The Ron James Heisman ballot today would have to be, how many do I get?
I'll let you have 4 finalists.
4 finalists. Okay, I'm obviously going to go with Julian Sayin, my winner at number 1. I'm going to go with Jeremiah Smith at number 2. I am going to go with Carnell Tate at number 3. And then I'm going to go
Glenville?
No, I think I'm going to stick with SFE. I'm going to go with Alabama corner Xavier Brown for my Heisman ballot. I'm going to go raw Miami and then 3 SFE guys for my Heisman ballot. The forever SFE and 7-on-7 chill. I got to keep it true to the game.
That's sick. I love it. I'm of the school of thought that Jeremiah Smith is my Heisman winner because I'm old school, like best player in the country kind of thing instead of like the best quarterback. And maybe that's new schooly. But I'm going my top 4: Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sayin, Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, and if I had a 5th, it would be Haynes King. So that is my that is the Kris Heisman ballot. Hey, look, we got a lot of shows this week. Obviously, check out Ron every single morning on Buckeye Roast with Q. Obviously, me and Tyler got a couple shows coming out, and then just hit the bell notification because I don't have a time for when I do this kind of thing. But Ron finally got me to do it. He's been waiting on me to brand it. It's finally branded. So, drop a comment, and I'll talk to you guys soon.